Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have. I'm about $180,000 in debt from both federal and private student loans, my car loan, credit cards. That is all of my debt. I am 24 years old. I have a bachelor degree, so not even a master's. I have one minor, no focus in my major, as well as an honors degree, which did require some extra credits. So that is where this number is coming from. This is on top of the little amount of scholarships that I was awarded, so money I didn't have to pay back. This is everything I owe. Everything I owe. I came out of college in June of 2024, and I did not look at the debt that I was accruing. I took out loans as I needed them each year for college, and I didn't really think about what the percentages meant because I was never taught financial literacy. I didn't think about what the realistic number was going to be that I would have to owe each month on these loans, and they are astronomical, I will say. Sallie Mae, which is my private loan creditor, wants $1,800 a month from me. That's just Sallie Mae. I am right now in a grace period for 12 months where I only have to pay $1,033 to Sallie Mae. I would not be able to afford the $1,800 a month if I wasn't able to get it down for 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 11 months, but this is just me talking about it. On top of that, I owe about $287 to the federal government per month. That's not changing. And I owe $202 for my car payment, and that's not even including the $150 or $60 that I owe each month for the car insurance or my credit card payments. That doesn't include any of that. So, alone, Sallie Mae wants $1,800 from me. I graduated college, as I just mentioned, in June of 2024, so this last year, and I wanted to just have a nice summer because I have been doing school for the last 5 years, and I've been taking summer courses full-time every year, and as well as working full-time. So this is also, like, the debt I have, and I was working full-time during the summers, and I was working part-time during the school years, so that's all, like, I still had no money, like, and I had to take out loans. So, being 23 years old, almost 24 when I graduated, I decided that I was just going to get a part-time job so that way I could only work part-time during the summer and kind of enjoy the summer because I had been doing over full-time in schools and working and had a role in my sorority, and I decided that I was just going to work part-time. And if I had looked at my loans fresh out of college, which I highly recommend you do if you have loans, do not wait until they are due to start looking at them. I decided to do that and made barely any money, but I didn't have any loan payments at the time during the summer. And I wish that I had started making the payments as soon as possible on those loans while I had them. So I worked part-time. Around November, my best friend was like, hey, I have loans. You have loans. Have you looked at what your loan payments are going to be? And I was like, shh, can't be that bad, right? Wrong. I looked at my loan payments and I cried. Because I was not taught financial literacy. And I didn't understand how a credit company for student loans could charge me $1,800 if I wasn't making that much. I thought, okay, there must be something similar to the federal aid where you can do it based on income. No, they don't offer that. So I would also look into that before you take out student loans if they're going to offer income based or anything. They don't offer that. The best I could do was bring it down to $1,000. And then I was struggling to find a full-time job. I applied for like 3 months to over probably 500 jobs before I finally found one. This is the catch, that doesn't even require my degree. I found a job that paid $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, and it was degree recommended, not required. So I felt very grateful for that opportunity. I just don't understand why companies and jobs want you to have stepping stones but don't consider your degree to be the stepping stones or the foundation for working for those companies, and they want to pay less money for more years of experience. It doesn't make sense. It's really hard to find a job right now, like really, really hard. Anyway, flash forward, I'm doing this and I'm able to make my bare minimum payments, but that doesn't matter because in 12 months, I'm still going to owe $1,800 bare minimum on the Sallie Mae loans, and I cannot afford that. And I make $41,600 a year before taxes. Now, flash forward, I'm at this job for a couple months and I start to struggle really badly with my mental health. I'm talking like can't get out of bed except to go to work, really struggling, losing passion for everything, falling into a mix of, I would say, seasonal depression because it's winter and I struggle with that a lot, and also depression because my life is not going the way that I want it to go. And that is a hard thing to grasp. And also, debt is really hard. It's a hard thing, and like a lot of people struggle with it, so it's not just me coming on here. Like I'm very grateful and I am privileged, and there's a lot of things that are going well in my life, but like that debt is still looming over my head, and that is a real thing. I decided that this job was not worth staying at any longer because of how much it was impacting my mental health. I was crashing out all the time and I really tried to stick it out, but I was just really starting to see no purpose in my life, even though it was helping me make those bare minimum payments. I have since put in my 2 weeks and I'm going back to 2 part-time jobs that I've calculated out will make the same amount of money I make at this full-time job that I supposedly got with my degree. So I'm still going to make $41,600 and be able to make my bare minimum payments. But I am really worried about what I'm going to do in 11 months when I have to owe $1,800 just on Sallie Mae. I am putting this out there as like kind of a way to warn people about looking into what your loans look like. Teach yourself financial literacy. But I'm also putting this out there to ask, what's the best case scenario? I don't really know what to do, and I've been trying to do research. I don't want to get sued by Sallie Mae. It's hard to find a job. I don't really want people coming out here being like, well, just go find a higher paying job. You were silly to drop down to 2 part-time jobs. That is not the advice I'm looking for. I'm looking for a best way to knock out my loans and start paying them off faster with what I have. I'm making the bare minimum payments and a little bit more, and that's basically all of my income, and I'm looking for other ways to make extra money. So if I have to start door dashing as well, I'm going to go back to a job where I'll also be making tips. All of that's going to go towards it. What is the best way? Should I attack the ones that are high interest first? Should I go after the ones that are the smallest? Like, I'm genuinely curious, best way to knock out these loans, because I'm trying to be debt free. There was a time in my life where all I wanted was to make a ton of money. I don't care. Financial freedom to me looks like being debt free. I would love, and I'm not saying this is possible, but I don't think it's impossible either. I would love to be out of debt by the time I'm 30. That's 6 years from now. I have a lot of debt. I don't know how possible that is, but I would have to put all my money towards it. I've not made good financial choices. Like, I'm literally going on a trip in April. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that, but that's aside the case. That is aside the case. The point is, I can make the bare minimum right now, and I know that I could make more if I need to. Despite going on this trip in April, we don't need to talk about that. I'm still making choices, but I want to find out a way that I can get out of debt. I'm trying to find all these extra ways to make money. I'm going to keep probably eventually in the future apply to jobs, but it's just, this is the reality of it. It's just like, it's not like I'm magically going to make more money to pay off this debt. I am where I'm at. So I don't know. I'm looking for help, and I'm also trying to give some advice, but you should really educate yourself on financial literacy before you decide to take out loans. And if you have the opportunity to go to community college before going to a university, I would highly recommend doing that to save yourself as much money as possible. Because at the end of the day, as fun as the memories were, and I'm so grateful for my friends and the people I met, and they are obviously priceless. Knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would ever put myself in that position to let myself get into $180,000 worth of debt over school. So my credit's also shit, by the way, because of all the loans I've had to take out. So that is my story. And yeah, I just kind of came here to talk about it. I feel like it's important to talk about. And a lot of times I think we're kind of ashamed of it, but that's really it.
Now this gonna get y'all talking. They said that while black people hold the highest amounts in student loan debt, white people hold the highest amounts in credit card debt. Now this gonna get y'all talking. They said that while black people hold the highest amounts in student loan debt, white people hold the highest amounts in credit card debt. So I think we should remember that debt is not about being tied to poor or the rich. is tied to decision making. Working in the banking industry, I worked with a Caucasian client previously who I had a great relationship with. This man owed $150,000 in credit card debt and was actively trying to pay it back, but had no capacity to pay it back, which is why we talk about the difference between character and capacity. Character is I have the willpower to want to pay it back. Capacity is I can or cannot pay it back based on my financial situation. So with that being said, I'm a little curious on, is there anyone who has never had any type of debt?
You want to know what's so funny? I posted a video the other day talking about the fact that I'm 26 years old and I'm in $95,487.73 worth of debt, majority of that being student loans. And the response from people is just absolutely wild. And I'm sitting here responding to comments of people shaming me, and they're trying to wonder how it even got to this point. They're trying to put me down, saying I'm never going to pay it off. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I went to school, did what I had to do to become a nurse to help people. And people were shaming me for doing that. I went to school to get a career where I can better people's lives, save lives, and I'm being shamed for the way that I had to do it. I put myself in a financial burden to go get a degree, to help people, to save lives, to better people's lives, and I'm being shamed for the way that I had to do it because I didn't have mommy and daddy paying for my college. I had to take out student loans. You don't even realize how bad student loans can get, because in the moment when tuition is due, all you're thinking about is making that tuition date and paying the tuition. So you just signed. That's how it gets to where it is. You just signed because you have to do what you have to do in that moment in order to accomplish your goals. And that's what I did. And I'm being shamed for that. Y'all are shaming a nurse, okay, for doing what she had to do in order to help people. That's crazy.
Overwhelmed, overstimulated, and stressed and disassociated are all things I feel currently as a 24-year-old single mom. Trust me when I say this, and I say this in the best way possible. I'm thankful to have my house, but I'm stressing out so bad. My house is $3,100 a month, my mortgage. And I originally bought this house when I was still with my daughter's dad. We separated a year ago exactly, where he no longer lived in the house, so he was no longer providing the payment for the house. And so it's just been on me. And as much as I love having my house, the payment is what puts me like in this headspace every end of the month coming up to the first of the month. Now, not only that, I have $23,000 in credit card debt. I honestly don't know. After becoming a single mom, I ended up pretty much adding more debt to myself because I was having to use my credit card to pay for groceries, to pay for diapers, to pay for the basic necessities that me and my daughter need day to day. And it wasn't until earlier in August when I decided to start keeping my daughter home, where I was no longer paying childcare, and that money from child support was just, for my daughter to have here at home versus just all of it going to childcare. So since then, my credit card usage has stopped. I've been able to, pay for all my necessities since she stays home with me, and I've been able to manage my house payment. And I don't know. I feel like I'm already open with other parts of my life, so I might as well just share this part of my journey where I figure out what to do with my living status, whether I keep the house, whether I sell it, whether I find more roommates, or I just, tough it out. Now, as of right now, I'm just toughing it out. I actually start a new job next weekend. Well, a second job next weekend on the weekends. Since I don't have my daughter on the weekends, she goes with her dad. I might as well work like at an actual job at an establishment as a server. So I'm so excited. I don't know. I just felt like being vulnerable, and I know vulnerable isn't always the best thing. I don't know. Hopefully, my TikTok page can grow. So I haven't been so active on here just because I've been in a different headspace. Ando muy desanimada lately. Like, I just don't want to do things. Pero es algo que primeramente Dios, this is just temporary. This is just one of those hardships that I have to go through. You know, I will see the light at the end of the tunnel. I will see the light at the end of the tunnel with keeping this house, with paying my credit cards, and just, you know, having and providing everything that I can for my daughter, for her future, you know. Here where we are, we have amazing friends and family near us. I don't have my parents as I wish I did, but, you know, eventually maybe my parents will move up here. Who knows?